Hello everyone, we are back again. My name is Fraser Almeida. I'm an architectural, interiors, and luxury real estate photographer based here in Las Vegas, Nevada. The previous video we talked about just, breaking down a photo and my approach as to encountering the scene, how I flash it, how I edit it, and finally deliver it to my client. But today I want to talk about something just a little bit different in regards to inspiration and motivation. Doing this career, we always get into a little bit of a slum where, it's very tedious and we're just, cranking out things and it becomes a grind, and sometimes we lose that creativity. And I try to find through my daily life, away from my career, things that just help me to keep pushing and delivering good quality to my clients, and also for myself, fulfilling my own creative side, just giving me something that just gives me a goal, a drive to look forward to. Having that motivation and inspiration is a good tool to give you a path and a vision for yourself, but also it puts a stamp into people's eyes to see, like, you know what, that's Fraser's style, or this is her style, or whoever it is, right? Like, we want our clients to recognize our work, and sometimes by getting inspired by others and, taking bits and pieces from everybody here and there and making it our own, we develop our own brand, our own look for people to recognize our work. So one thing that really helps me when it comes to getting inspiration is I love going to the movies. You'll find me there all the time. When it's a new release, a new movie, especially from directors that I love. Why? Because I get to sit back, not only enjoy the story, but I get to enjoy the visual creativity that's put on the screen. Sometimes I have to watch a movie twice because the first time I'm just taking in all that information and I'm like analyzing the scene. I'm breaking down the lighting. I'm thinking about, like, the natural light. Did they build this scene? Was it real? Is that the real sun, or is that a supplemental lighting? All this kind of stuff. Sometimes I'm just watching a movie and breaking it down for my own self because I love it so much. Then the second time I'll come back and enjoy the actual story without having to think of all that stuff. But going to the movies really helps me to just get inspired because, man, there's so much creative people in Hollywood. I mean, why wouldn't you want to get inspired from them, right? What they put on the screen, they took in hours and years of a trial and, failures and successes to deliver this beautiful work on screen for us to enjoy. And I'm going to capitalize on that. I'm going to learn from them and try to incorporate some of that into my own work. That being said, let's take a look at this scene. This is from the movie called Dune. It's a recent release. It's actually a remake from a previous movie from back in the day. But the way they directed this and lit this and just the cinematography alone, I mean, if you guys want to get something that's going to really inspire you, or just the visual awesomeness of just sitting down and watching this, watch this movie. Dune is breathtaking. I think it won a whole bunch of Academy Awards as well. But let's take a look at this scene here and see what we're looking at and why this speaks to me. Number one, if you kind of see my current work, I like more moodier stuff, right? Like, I like more, the darkness. I like the motivated lighting, things like that, where there's a mood, rather than just the blown out, just bright and white and airy. Which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But I know my personal style, I like more the darker style. That being said, this scene in the movie Dune, it's beautiful, clean, one-point perspective. And you can see the way that they built this. I mean, I don't know if this was a recreation or if this was an actual location or whatnot, and if they just timed the sun. But I love where we have the sun over here coming in, casting light, and all the shadows are just falling off in the right direction. We get the shadows in the backs of these chairs. All this section over here is all in shadow, but you still get some detail. And if you actually look really closely here, look at the floor. Because of the texture on the floor and the angle of the sun hitting the floor in this direction, you can actually see that the floor is kind of raised in this kind of these patterns. It's not like a flat tile. It's kind of raised, and that directional lighting helps you to sell that aspect of the texture on that floor. But I mean, man, I love this. I love just how clean and minimalistic it is. You got the talent there. You got a little bit of, rim light coming here from that sun hitting her. He's in shadow, but it's not completely in shadow. You can still see what he looks like. And I mean, I love the design elements here on these circles. Very beautiful. Just, I don't know if you guys know something weird about me. I love the number three. Whenever I see threes of something, I don't know what it is about me, but I just love threes. You can ask Tony Colangelo about that. He knows my thing about threes. It's weird. But anyways, but look at this fall off of the shadow. So we got the sun here to the left, and then the shadow fall off. I mean, it's just beautiful, long streaks coming into this scene. I mean, this is like pure cinematic gold for me. So when I'm looking at something like this, for me, it's just pure inspiration because I'm watching this movie, I'm sitting down, experiencing it, taking it all in, and in the back of my head, I'm just like, putting a little flag in there so that when I'm at a shoot and whenever I'm in a situation where, let's say, I'm in a property or something and there's a light, with this situation where the sun is coming low and we get these long shadows, I'm gonna look for moments like this. I'm gonna remember this scene in the movie, and I know what it made me feel watching it, and I want to make sure I can try to capture that as well, so that I can deliver that for my client and their property, whether it's for a real estate or whether it's for an architect or interior design, whatever it is. This mood, I know it can be done based off of what I'm seeing here on this screen. So as an example, let me show you this image that I created. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but how this film inspired me to kind of help develop my style and create something similar to what you just saw. What we're looking at here is a interior design shoot I did for a client. Now, this was the dining area. It's a big open area where there's a living room, kitchen, all these kind of areas within areas. But this is where they sectioned off the dining area. Had a nice, beautiful custom table and chairs with the chandelier light on top. But if you notice, the way the windows are, it's coming into the scene. It reminded me of that scene in that movie. If you think about it, it's some type of window opening that allows light to come in, and we got the same type of table setting here with chairs. So why not try to do something similar to that effect? And this is what I did. So pretty much what you're seeing here is the backs of these chairs are in shadow, and they're in shadow because I choose to light this from this direction, right? Obviously, there's no sun coming in here, but because where the trees are at and this open area here outside, I made that where my primary light source was coming from. So coming in from the right, I made sure that the floor would be lit down here, and the light is all coming in this direction, hitting the backs of these chairs and hitting this wall over here as well. Now, if you notice, I did that on purpose because remember, as before, we want to draw our eye into the scene, right? We don't want to hold a viewer's eye back by putting light in the wrong areas. Imagine if instead of these chairs being black, we actually lit all these chairs too, right? And then the floor here on this left side would be lit as well. That would really hold you from getting into that scene, putting yourself into that dining table and sitting there and enjoying a meal or whatever it is, a conversation. This way, once you actually light from this direction and you cast the shadows on the backs of these chairs, now there's nothing stopping you. Now you can actually put yourself sitting in and enjoying this dining table, whether it's, like I said, dinner or a conversation at a party with friends or whatever it is. We have to be very careful. Like I said, even though maybe the actual sun is from behind where the camera's at, it doesn't matter. I'm always looking at every scene and trying to capitalize on that scene the best that I can, right? Regardless of where the actual natural sun is, I'm going to try to make the scene work with whatever is there given to me, whether there's a chandelier, overhead lights, big windows, whatever it is. I'm going to try to use that to its advantage and build the scene up that way. So let's take a look at this real quick in Photoshop and see how we built this up from the base ambient layer, and little by little brought it up layer by layer until we got the finished image. So if we look here, this is our base ambient shot. It's very basic. You can tell there is actually a window from the back of this couch over here, hitting the backs of these chairs, which I don't want. Remember, I'm trying to just focus on this scene alone and not trying to capitalize on the natural sunlight that's actually here. I'm trying to capitalize on the windows and where that light is coming and targeting these this table scene area. So let's build this up little by little. Obviously, this is our base ambient image. It's very blown out, very washed out. You know, there's no contrast. There's no information in the floor, the texture on the floor, on the left side over here, on the shelves, on the wood, on the door. I mean, the colors just they don't look good. Very flat, right? We're trying to give some contrast and mood to help sell this scene. So let's build this up little by little. Our next layer here. So this layer, the whole point of this is just to dial everything back so it's not so dark, and then kind of build it up layer by layer with the light, right? So here at least we have an even, not even even, but just underexposed image so that with our lighting we can slowly build it up and see what we're doing. So here's our first layer. As you can see, I'm holding up the flash here, pretty much straight in front of camera. The whole purpose of that is just to light this area here in front where the wood is on the ground. Not to say that I'm going to be using any of this information where the chairs are at, but I do like the information on the floor so that I have good color and texture for the actual floor. Next, so we just mask it in by just brushing it in. Here's our next one. So this is actually behind the camera. Same thing. I'm just kind of lighting up the different areas here. All I use this one for is just to kind of even out the floor here on the left side. So if I put the mask on and I take it off and on, you can kind of see that. Let's keep going here. This is camera right, and I'm just lighting this right side area here. This is actually a staircase coming up where this glass is at. So I just lit this area over here so it's not so dark, and then just mask that in. So this is before and after. And then here's me holding the light. Now we're getting more with the motivated lighting coming from the direction of the windows. This is probably the main light source I want to use that's going to represent which way I want the shadows falling onto this scene. So if you notice here, flashing, hitting the ceiling and bouncing is giving me this perfect shadows on the backs of these chairs. And I love the long shadows that it's creating here towards the left side of the scene. So once I mask myself out and I paint it in, you can see what it does from a flat image to a much more contrasted image, now drawing ourselves into that scene. And then we have our ambient layer. Like I said, the whole purpose of the ambient is really used to just clean up any areas that the flash shouldn't hit, and also for the ceiling. Sometimes when you flash and you pop on the ceilings like that, it creates all these different variables as far as exposure and hot spots and dark spots. Having the ambient file, it helps you to just smooth it all out and keep it clean and natural. So let's just see with that in. And I just take that off and on. You can see how it just cleans up that ceiling and makes it look a little bit more natural. And then lastly, we bring in the windows and we just mask that in. Here's the off and on and a little bit of curves to just brighten it up. And we are done. I mean, that's pretty much the image. And then after that, we just brought it into Lightroom and cropped it with one of my favorite crops, 16:9, and leveled this thing out. And that's a final image for our client. And if you see, it is beautiful. We get to get the light coming in from the direction of the windows. The backs of these chairs are in shadow and letting us to get into this scene, past these chairs, to appreciate the top of this table, looking at the chandelier or a light feature. I'm sorry. But I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, capitalizing, looking at your scene and deciding, okay, where am I going to build this from? Am I going to take it for what it is, or am I going to manipulate this scene and really capitalize on it and bring the light from the direction that I want rather than with the light that's given? And this is, like I said, this all started from back with that movie, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure I've seen things like this in many other things, whether it's photographers, workshops and things like that. But, at least for me, the movie is what stuck in my mind when I saw this, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to see if I can do something similar to it. Of course, it's not as moody as the movie, but it is still, it gives me that mood and that feel that I got when watching that movie. So that's how something as simple as a movie can inspire me to deliver something like this for my client and push myself to always deliver something better than the previous. So let's go on to the next image now. This is another movie that I really love, Blade Runner 2049. It's the newest remake of the previous, or actually, no, I'm sorry, not remake. It's a continuation of the first Blade Runner from years ago. Oh my God. If you guys want another movie that's pure beauty and creativity, watch this movie. It is amazing. The story is good and the visuals are breathtaking. So this is a scene inside the movie where one of the characters, she's just walking into her office. But look how beautiful this is. You can tell that there is on the ceiling here some type of water and a light shining down, just creating these beautiful patterns, hitting the wall on the left and the right side and the floor as well. Just creating this amazing mood. I mean, I wish I had an office like this. On top of that, with that down lighting coming, look at the stairs. You can see with the stairs, it's giving us some beautiful shape and direction with just the fall off of the shadows coming on each level of these stairs, leading us go up into this area, wherever this void is. I don't know, but whatever that is it's definitely bringing me into the scene, right? And going back to what I said, just being inspired. It's not like I'm gonna find an office like this, while I'm shooting. No, but it's just, what is this scene doing for me, right? Where's the inspiration? What does it motivate in me to try to accomplish when I'm out doing my daily job and I encounter a space that maybe I can utilize some of these elements in here to just help build up and create that scene for my client, right? And for myself. I mean, at the end of the day, I am shooting for my clients, but I love what I do, and the creation, the ability to create and build something from scratch. I mean, that's a dream, right? And if I can take something like this, a movie scene, and use that as a tool in the back of my head that just helps me to tackle on a scene and not know what to do. I mean, it's just another way for me to find motivation and just the daily routine, my daily life, to help and bring forth when I come into these situations and I need something that's just going to give me that edge to really take that a boring image and take it to the next step. So let's see what this image looks like. Well, actually not what this image looks like, but how I use some elements of this within this next shot that I built for my client. So this is the scene that I shot for my client. Actually, if you guys notice, do you see up here? This is that dining area from that previous photo we just saw. So this is the actual staircase to the right of that. Now, when I built this, when I saw this shot, I wasn't necessarily thinking about, obviously, that movie. But I just knew that, for me, how do I take something that's just boring and plain and transition into something more creative with mood and direction, right? So you'll see eventually in Photoshop what the plain basic image of this look like. But this is the final image here. And as you can see, it served the purpose that I want. My purpose is, drawing my eye up these stairs, right? Up these stairs and coming into this area here. That's pretty much the whole goal. And on top of that, look at the beautiful fall off we have here on these staircases, right? That was not there on the original ambient shot, which you're going to see. I produced that because I knew having that shadow fall off there creates the actual shape of those stairs going up. If I lit this from the front of the camera, you're going to lose all that shape. You're going to lose that mood, and the direction is going to be gone. This way, remember, having that shadow fall off from the backs of those stairs, the wood slats going up the staircase, helps us to actually bring ourselves up those individual staircases up into the top level of this this home. So let's take a look at this real quick, how I built it up in Photoshop, layer by layer, so you guys can see the final result. So as you can see, this is the base ambient layer. Look how boring this is, right? You can see the light coming in here is just throwing light everywhere. There's no mood at all. It's just boring, flat lighting. And you can't even capitalize of how amazing of a home this is just because of the light coming in here. Yeah, you got some nice, big, beautiful, big windows, but look what it's doing to the actual space. You're losing any of that mood, any of that direction. And this is what I was talking about. Look at the staircase. Look at the actual the parts of the stairs that are facing towards the camera, how they're lit actually from the sun. And that's where I wanted to make sure. I wanted to kill that so that it'll draw us up the stairs rather than just stopping us down here. Right now, it's just keeping me here. Or it's making me go out these windows because it's so bright. You know, our eyes usually go towards the brightest parts of an image. So let's start building this up little by little and see how we put this together. So this obviously is our base image, our ambient. The next image here, all I did here was just tone it down in Lightroom, just bring back some of the highlight information, just so we have a base image not so blown out with no usable information. At least here, we have a starting off point. So our first flash layer is this one. And just look at that, just that one flash layer. You can tell I'm standing over here towards the left on the top level here, just pointing the flash up to the ceiling and letting it bounce down. But look at that, just that one shot, how much mood and direction it gave that image compared to the ambient shot here. Boring, right? So with that, we just put a little bit of a mask on it and just kind of brought in a little bit more of that ambient. Not everything, we didn't want to kill it all off. Here's our next layer here. This one, I just used to kind of clean up. So if you see, this is kind of lit over here on the left side. So I just brought that part in. So if I take that off and on, you can see I just kind of brought a little bit of that information in. Now this one, if you can see, we have this glare on this glass over here because of the light that I'm bouncing up there on that level. So I just kind of brought this layer in to kind of help kill that off and then mask it in. So I take that off and on. You can see how that glare is gone. Now next, this layer, you can see I'm standing over here flashing up. I wanted to get a lot more mood onto this staircase. I wanted a lot more depth with the shadow fall off here on each of these individual steps. So I just kind of brought that in. If I take it off and on, see, just selling that mood, that direction, just a little bit more. This one was okay, but I just wanted a little bit more punch out of it. And then lastly, just bringing in that view so we had a little bit more detail out there rather than it being too glary. I guess I could have kept this one, but I preferred the non-glared version. I brought that in and just brightened it up just a hair. So this is before and after. And that's it. Just kind of, as you can see, from going from, here's our base image to the final product. What a difference, right? Just, like I said, having that inspiration and motivation. I may not be thinking about Blade Runner, the movie, when I'm here shooting this, but it's just in the back of my head. It's giving me all these tools to bring to the forefront when I'm encountering scenes like this, to build it up so that I can deliver a final product to the client that does represent some type of mood, some type of feeling, rather than just the boring ambient light that just coming in there and throwing light everywhere, right? So we just finished this off by taking it into Lightroom, adding a little bit of a level to it, and that's it. I mean, it was very minimal. If you see, this is before, after, we kind of just give it a little bit more bump of whites and exposure and just level it out. But that's the final image. I mean, as you can see, like I said, guys, a little bit of inspiration goes a long way for your career, for your direction, your approach to when you encounter a scene. How do you tackle it? And it doesn't matter whether it's any of the movies that I see, or whether you pick up a magazine and you look at something. I'm looking at magazines, I'm looking at social media, I'm looking at other photographers out there who are way better than me. There's thousands of them out there. And even students, believe me, I have had students who have shown me work, and I'm like, I'm in awe because I love that they're pushing themselves, they're trying things. Sometimes, you learn from even the people you would not even expect. I remember there was a moment I was looking at somebody's social media. They posted up some pictures online, and they're just, cell phone photos, whatever, but still, like you can get inspiration from so many things, and you can use all those and just put them in the back of your head as little flags that you can pull out when you need to. When you encounter a scene, you're like, you know what? I remember I saw this here, and I remember how that made me feel. So I'm gonna try to incorporate that and build this image up with that in mind. And at the end of the day, if you can deliver something that represents the property or the architect or the interior designer, and it encompasses what they delivered and produced, and you're able to not only just shoot it but deliver a mood out of it, I mean, your job is done, and you accomplish your mission, right? And let's go to one more here. So now we're at the bottom of these stairs. So we were at the top of the stairs where the dining area was at. You saw the staircase, and now to the bottom of the stairs, towards the left, we have this amazing, beautiful concrete wall. And here, obviously, you can see toward the right side here, this is where the staircase is at. You can also see to the right here, this is where the window is at, and this is where the window would be, bringing in all this light coming in towards the left. But this is not what the ambient scene looked like at all. I had to build this from scratch, and you'll see what I mean once I pull this up into Photoshop. I knew, what's the opposite of flat and boring? Motivation and direction, right? Like if you can do that into a scene, you'll kill anything flat. If you give your scene some type of motivation and light coming into it, you can, save that scene from being just a boring representation of the space and becoming a documented image rather than something of a work of art, right? So let's take a look at this image real quick. As you can see, there's this beautiful concrete here that the architect used to build this home with. We have this nice frame here that encompasses this beautiful design piece outside, showcasing the stairs as well, and this nice rusted ceiling here. But especially inside the home, this concrete, I mean, just the texture of it. You can see the beauty of the flaws in it, the little punches of holes in there. I mean, it is asking to be lit, right? So let's look at this real quick, how I built this up in Photoshop so you can see the before and after on this one. Look at this. How boring is this image, right? Without any flash, without any lighting, this is all you get. This is just boring, flat. That's it. There's no direction. Yeah, you get to see out there. Okay, great. You get to see a hint of the staircase there. All right, yeah, whatever. But other than that, how do we make this even better than what it is? And just by taking one light, literally one light from the corner, from the direction of where the windows are coming from, and adding it into the scene, you can get some direction and kill anything flat and boring. Check this out. Look at this. That's it. One light. That's all it took. One flash. I just popped it on from the right side. I'm standing here on the top of, at the bottom of the stairs, just holding the light, bouncing off the ceiling, and just it's coming down here, giving me this beautiful gradient fall off, adding to the texture of this wall, really showcasing the holes in there. And I mean, just look at that, right to left. And I'm okay that this goes into darkness. What am I losing? I'm not losing that much. I mean, who cares about seeing more of that? There's nothing there to really see. But look at this. Look what it gives you. I mean, just that the direction into the scene, into the photo, and even it takes you from the left side of the scene, and it makes you want to go up to the right, right? It all fits together. And other than that, all we did is just bring back a little bit of the view, and that's it. It took seconds to do this shot. Nothing at all to build this up. We went from our ambient here, we lit a flash pop, and then we just masked back in our ambient for the view, and we are done. It literally took seconds on site and seconds, maybe a minute or two, in post-processing to deliver this image. But this is what I'm telling you guys, just a little bit of inspiration, whether it's a movie, whether it's a magazine, social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. A friend shows you a picture on their phone, or you're driving and you see a billboard, or you just looking at nature or the buildings or whatever it is. We get inspiration from so many things. One of the things I get it from is from movies, right? I love movies. And anything you find out there that can help you get inspired, be motivated, use that. Because when you're in those times when you're just like, grinding it out, and you've lost your artistic nature in you, you've lost that creative ability, and you have nothing to look forward to, and it just starts to get boring and monotonous, go back to that. Take a break, get away from the computer, go watch a movie, go pick up a book, go watch the TV or whatever it is, whatever it takes, and get that inspiration back. Because I'll tell you, it'll help you whether you're on site or back at the computer, to give you that little bit of inspiration to help build these images and still keep giving it, keeping you current too. And not only is going to the movies entertaining, but it keeps me current. There's many things about the movies that lets me know what's the trend, what's in. Same thing with the magazines and social media. Being involved with all these things helps me to be inspired, but also keeps me current. So I'm always delivering what's in to my clients rather than something that's dated and old and played out, right? Remember, guys, this isn't the rule. This is just my way of doing things, my way of getting inspired, being motivated, so that I always have that inspiration when I'm out in the field shooting or back in the computer editing, to just always keep pushing, keep delivering, and always bettering myself from the previous stuff that I've done to give my clients the best results possible, right? Those little things here and there gives me that inspiration to, when I'm on site, to remember, oh yeah, I remember watching that movie, this scene, and this is very similar to that. Maybe I can capitalize on that. Or even forget about that. Maybe just what's the mood that you're drawn to as a photographer? Is it bright and airy? Then great. Or is it dark and moody? That's great too. At the end of the day, whatever it is, run with it, because that's your style, that's your aesthetic. And clients are gonna see you and they're gonna know you for that, and they're gonna hire you for that, right? Like, I want a client ideally that will hire me for the things that I love to do rather than something that I'm not doing. Yeah, we have the ability to adapt and deliver stuff regardless of our own likes, but at the end of the day, I would still love to deliver something that is of my own brand, of my own aesthetic, to the clients who love my work. So guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and let me know your thoughts. What kind of things inspire you and motivate you? I'd love to hear your feedback. But until then, I'll see you next time, and keep on shooting.